Welcome to the best hour of their day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez
and me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
as both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
Best hour of their day. I'm Jason Ackerman. That's Jason Fernandez. We started this thing to help CrossFit affiliates, and one of the reasons we got started is because we were motivated, we were inspired, we were educated, and we were entertained by you, Chuck Carswell, like thousands and thousands of others across the globe at their level 1 and their level 2 seminar. And we want to talk all about your journey on that staff.
Who was your first, when you worked your first seminar, who's the flow?
The first one I worked, EC.
He was mine.
Wow.
After you were hired.
Yeah.
So who gave you the green light?
Mike G.
Mike G, Curtis Bowler.
Okay.
So when we say green light, what we were saying is you intern, and then on the very last internship, should you move on? Sometimes your last one is you're not moving on. But if you are to move on, the flow master at that
See you in
seminar,
6 months, maybe.
The talk typically looks like, hey, I'm going to recommend you. It's not my call.
Yes.
Right? It's like Nicole or Dave or whoever at the time has to do the final paperwork. But it's essentially them saying, I vouch for this person.
Correct.
So Mike G for him, Curtis, 2 legends. Did somebody do that for you? Because I feel like your journey on was more like, this guy just keeps showing up. People kind of like him. Much like mine, except I didn't get hired. But you had this different gravitas about you where we talked about previously, like, you did a good job. And I think people are like, well, give him more responsibility. Did you have an actual journey onto staff?
He's trying to make me a tick. Is that just,
Yeah, I don't.
cling
This
on?
is
and
really not a good intro.
I feel like it's the best intro.
No.
My experience was, you're right. I did stick around and kept showing up,
Yeah.
and didn't mess it up enough to not get invited back. So the invites kept coming, and I kept showing up. And my very first one was an internship at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Brunswick, Georgia, with Adrian Bosman. So
But Chuck Carswell interned? I don't believe that.
that was the internship. Yeah, no question.
No, we interned.
No.
You were probably a flow master at that internship.
Not at all. I showed up.
Is this like I'm a level 4 and you're a level 4? Or they're very different level 4
Yeah, they're different
experiences.
internships.
No, I showed up expected to intern, and that was the role. I didn't have the same shirt as everybody else.
You had the black shirt?
I had my CrossFit East Decatur shirt on.
Oh, so they were just like, this is before there was an intern shirt. It was like,
Correct.
wear a CrossFit shirt.
No, they just said show up, and I just happened to wear a CrossFit
There was
shirt.
even no uniform requirement.
There was a period where it was like the black shirt was the red shirt.
I think they should bring that back.
Then there was an orange period. Then it was like an Adidas looking shirt.
Correct.
I
There
know
was
there's
a
pictures
white
of you.
Was there a brief yellow? There was a brief yellow.
The yellow was I think the level 2s that assisted at the level 1. So there were level 2 trainers that had already achieved
that was like the level 1 I took.
and got invited back and volunteered to show up and help coach.
When I took the level 1 in
And there was a-
2007,
And then there was a blue level 2 shirt.
Correct.
Yeah.
the old level 2 was like, well, you just take the level 1 again and help.
Yep.
It was like, come pay to help us. So,
10 deep in a hotel room, sleeping on the floor, and those were the days.
okay, so you interned at the police academy or and then that was it. Then you were on.
No, that's when Adrian Bosman got his opportunity to become a flow master because Coach Glassman and Nicole decided they were leaving and turned the seminar over to Adrian. That was his first flow master gig.
And he didn't know it was happening.
I had no idea, and I didn't know I was coaching until Coach invited an additional 10 or 12, I don't know, maybe 15 additional people to the seminar in classic Coach style. You got extra people? Bring them. Come on. And so off the sideline into the game is kind of how it worked.
And I remember flashing forward a little bit, 2008 in Brooklyn. You were there.
Yep.
And you were. I remember you taught the GHD because you told the story about a barber who got rhabdo.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And testicles got swollen, right, from rhabdo.
Yeah.
But I remember that you were given that. But so between that internship and working in 2008, Was there more internships, or did you just come on?
No, I think at that time I just came on. I mean, like,
So you didn't intern.
I did intern. That was my internship, but it turned into.
You can't be an intern and an employee on the same.
That was my internship.
It was a half a day
abbreviated.
internship, but you
Look,
get it.
Hey, look, when the bosses leave, if
Jay's just
you
really
don't
upset
mess
because
it
he
up-
had to intern 12 times.
10 times. And I think that's part of it. Like our memories, many people's memories. Like, well, Chuck's always just been a flow master.
and that's 100% inaccurate.
How many seminars did you work as a head trainer?
I wish I could tell you the
Well,
exact
guess.
total, but I would guesstimate.
4?
No, no, man. Are you kidding me? You got to think.
Were you still giving the presses lecture?
No.
Hey, you just passed your first presses. Would you like to be flow
In
master?
charge. You're in charge.
No, I would probably guess it was somewhere around 50 to 75.
Okay, but you understand that's low, right, Chuck?
Now I do, but
Yeah.
but I also you also have to recognize that for 50 to 75 seminars, it was probably a year plus of almost every single weekend. So it wasn't just
It was a different time where you worked every weekend, and the team itself was smaller,
100%.
right? There's like in 2008, it was like you, Sherwood, Boz,
40
Joe
maybe on the top
Alexander.
I'd probably say 40, probably 40.
If that.
And for reference,
Yep.
there's
Maggie.
40 flow masters now,
Yes.
maybe a little bit
Yeah,
more.
To let people like
bit
him
more,
be flow.
60.
Did you try to not allow that to happen?
No, I actually tried to open the door for him to make
Really?
it happen. Yeah.
Kick him out? Okay.
to bring him on.
It was an exit door.
Okay, let's go back, because when you were coming on staff, so for us it was the people like you, many of the people I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We still to this day, I mean, very much look up to. They're not only as mentors but as just human beings. Who are those for you?
Yeah, so being on the East Coast, so you got to remember back in the day, obviously, CrossFit starts on the West Coast, Santa Cruz. Here I am, Georgia, on the East Coast. And so, periodically, I guess what would happen is there'd be one over on the East Coast, West Coast, followed by one on the East Coast, and then there wouldn't be any more that month. And so I had a lot of West Coast influence along with some East Coast. So when you're thinking about the West Coast,
We're talking about rap music at this point? Or
no, we're not talking about rap. I'm a
Tupac, what are we
classical
talking
guy. I'm a Vivaldi, Mozart kind of dude. All right.
I don't know. I think you're more of a Rick Ross kind of guy.
but it's that purple Lamborghini.
The internet.
Jam. The interwebs
has
will tell
some
the story.
Chuck Carswell and
So Pat Sherwood clearly was Adrian Bosman.
And that was, Pat was what, Virginia Beach at the
Virginia
time?
Beach
Yep.
at the time.
And then Colorado.
Yep. And then obviously you're talking about Nicole Carroll, Dave Castro.
Were you nervous around them?
I won't say I was nervous, but I was definitely reserved. I wouldn't, to this day, I probably am a bit more reserved. I'm not as loud when I'm around them because I'm just trying to learn and grow and also not be the squeaky wheel,
It's kind of like my parents, right? Like they see my interactions with other humans, whether online, but then when I'm around them, I'm like, their son, quiet. Is that what it's like? They know, like, Chuck, because there's stories of you, and not like good or bad, but just like very positive. I should say not bad, like positive stories, like about the culture and community and all these things you create. But then when you're around them, you're like choir boy.
I don't know that I'm choir boy. Maybe a little, to your point, maybe a little bit more quiet, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a healthy respect for people that have done the thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I also think that many times you can learn more about leadership and about influence just by hanging around people and listening and watching than trying to go ahead and muster up the courage to lead.
So on that note, give us a lesson you learned.
A lesson
I
that
mean,
I learned.
in a serious way, like along the way. So I'll give you a lesson I learned, right, from Austin Malleolo. Early on, you never know what someone's going through. Like Austin always used to say that on Saturdays. You've said something similar. I'm sure many flow masters have, but it's like, hey, we're dealing with 50 people. That person's girlfriend may have dumped him last night. That person's dog may have passed away, right? You never know. They're not being an asshole. They're just going through something. So what's a lesson, or while you're thinking, Fern, you have one?
I got a lot. I want to hear Chuck's.
So
does all the audience. I just threw it to you to give.
I know the audience better than you do.
Yeah.
So I was like,
thank you for trying to buy me time,
Yeah,
too,
well,
but I did
sure.
have something already. But the first thing that I learned right away is that because we were open source as a CrossFit community, right? Greg didn't put any it's just out there. He sent it out there. It's for free, all that stuff. The one thing that they meaning the participants can't get is your interpretation of what's happening right there in front of them. So you make that content come alive, and the takeaways that they often garner from that don't always come from out of the manual. They come from the application they see or experience from you, your lectures, and your interactions with them over the course of the
I'm going to blow your minds.
Uh-oh.
What you're saying there is kind of strength. It's a productive application of this thing, right? Okay. Like, hey, you can read. You like that? Chuck, you think I told you this was going to be professional.
It was rough, but I see what you're trying to do.
But, it's like, hey, I can read CrossFit, constantly varied functional movements, high intensity, or I can experience it and now have a better understanding of, whether it's in that workout or watching Chuck coach somewhere, watching Chuck coach a coach.
Yep. Yeah, we were 100%.
I'm proud of you. I don't know what you want to say.
Yeah, bravo. We'll take a moment.
Yeah.
We'll take a moment.
Yeah,
I think that's the reality, right? Like, we were trying to build a community, right? And in order to build a community, you've got to be able to attract people to that community. And one of the ways to do that is to have sometimes positive, sometimes candid interactions with people. And if you can high five, chest bump at the end of the day, there's a chance that they could be, receptive to what we're offering in terms of our community.
Let's go the other way.
Okay.
Back then especially, you don't really experience this much anymore. There was a lot of someone would show up at every seminar. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to poke holes in this thing. I want to tell you why this is
that doesn't
bad.
happen
It doesn't.
anymore.
Well, I think because we've done it. Like, we've proven the thing. Mm-hmm. You were going to say something?
No, I think that's part of it. But the other thing was back in the day, at level 1, level 2 seminars, like the flow master would open the weekend by, you can call bullshit at any time during the seminar.
It was a different time. Like,
there was a different time. So you could freely say that, and then invite opportunities for people to raise their hand or do exactly that. Call BS.
And do you have any memories of someone trying to poke a hole?
I remember there were a couple of times, but not for me personally, but more for Pat Sherwood, when he would be the flow.
I would love to. His sense of humor is so good.
Yeah. And
I've seen people try to do it to Mike G and Jomo. Did not go well.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to poke holes with either one of those guys.
Jomo would just be. How's that working? Like one of those, and Mike G could just talk circles around you.
Yeah.
But what would you experience with Sherwood?
Yeah, so, there would be an opportunity where maybe in the middle of a nutrition lecture, somebody would call BS about, grains or something like that, right? If you don't eat grains, you're going to die. And like what are we talking about here? And of course, he would take that point and just weave it all the way back through the lecture and just blow minds and, leave people dumbfounded or that person not asking any additional questions. So, yeah.
And like we said, you don't experience, because we're 20 years in, it works.
Yep.
Hard to, PTs are using it now versus
Correct.
trying to show up and tell us why. Isn't it interesting too? Like, why are you here? Just to tell us why this doesn't work.
Yeah. There was a time where PTs, not probably the good ones, would be against it, but many of them would actually be using it as their protocol for bringing people back to functionality. What is, coming through an injury or something like that, is the restoration of the former self, right? Trying to get you back to a place where you can rehabilitation.
Yeah. So you put in your time. Yep. You work your 50 seminars, and then do you remember your first time?
I do.
Flowing?
I remember my first flow.
Tell us about it. Who's there? Where are you?
Andrew Thompson. Yep, Andrew Thompson. Pat Sherwood was there, and there were several others, but, I was so nervous I don't even remember. And we went out to breakfast. That was a thing that we used to do. And
in Atlanta?
No, we were in Virginia Beach at this time.
Was it the
Blower Center, Blower Tactical Center. And so we went for breakfast, and, back in the day, we used to all go for breakfast. So we'd sit down and have breakfast, and I noticed Andrew's looking at his watch, and he kept looking at his watch, and I was like, oh, crap, we probably ought to be headed back to the facility.
I'm the one that's supposed to be.
Where I'm used to being second in command at best, now I'm the guy. And he goes, well, we should probably start having that meeting then, huh, Chuck? And I was like, okay. And I was mid-bite, and I'll never forget, I set my fork down, took a sip of my coffee, and literally went down the schedule in terms of what was coming next, darn near the times, but all the roles and responsibility. I had memorized that thing from top to bottom. So we had the trainer meeting at a breakfast joint with no notes, no paper, no nothing. And
I like it.
Went from top to bottom on the schedule and who was performing the responsibility.
At that point, he was probably like, I didn't think you were going to recover from that, but well done.
Well, I won't tell you that
The odds were not good, and you beat the odds.
I think he drove me to the airport afterwards, and we definitely had a good conversation about it. So.
What was it like making that switch? So for those that don't know, to this day, every seminar around the world, the Flow Master, whether on-site or Monday, gives feedback. Mm-hmm. I mean, I worked at level 2 with Jenny and Brittany, and we sat down after and talked about lectures and your breakout groups, etc. What was it like making that transition from receiving to giving the feedback?
That was difficult. I mean, it's probably, for me, I always wanted to be second in command. I did not want the Flow Master responsibility. And the reason was because anything or everything that went down at that gig, you were going to get a phone call from Dave or Nicole about what happened there, and you were going to be the one responsible. I was like, I don't have any interest in being at that level.
It's nice to be like a little under the radar.
Just under the radar. And so my job, my goal was to be the best number 2 guy I could possibly be. And Sherwood tricked me once or twice. He would be up front at the seminar, and there'd be a transition from one segment to the next, and he'd go, "Hey, I'm going to run to the bathroom. Go up there and talk to the people." And he'd just take off walking. And
that's such a Sherwood thing.
Exactly,
yeah.
right? Yeah, just throw you.
But it's also great leadership.
It was.
Right?
I didn't know it at the time, but and
you
so,
do, and you do that too. I don't think
it's been
on
a while.
purpose or not, but you've been times where like, Jay, go sit up there.
Yep.
Jenny, like
Yep.
Todd. Yeah.
Yep. And so yeah, I forget my point, but the point was, he basically fast tracked me into that role. I did not want to do that. And I
That's
think
interesting. The Steve Jobs has some interesting thoughts about that when he said like the best leaders were in organizations, or best managers were the people that didn't want to manage. The people just know how to do the thing, and eventually they just become the managers, but not because they wanted to be managers, because they were like practitioners and they know how to do it, and they eventually just knew how to do it better than everybody else.
Yeah,
But that's you, right? Like that's you. Like I think 90% or more of like on staff only know you as a leader.
Yeah, I
Like
just because the numbers have
just time.
potential.
yeah, like everybody else that you're talking about has either literally moved on from CrossFit or has moved up in such a role that like they're not really involved in seminar staff on the day-to-day anymore.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Much of my experience coming up was mostly organic in terms of leadership. A lot of it wasn't like, before things start, you're going to be the person. It was just kind of like things are happening and somebody's got to make a decision, and you make the decision, and maybe you get quote unquote anointed or brought into the space. And so, that's why I wanted to be the number 2. I did not at all see myself as the person leading the seminar. And
Let me blow your minds for a second time. So you could take the same concept.
a lot of mind blowing.
You can take the same concept and apply it to the 10 general skills in leadership. There's inorganic and there's organic.
Mm-hmm.
And what you are excellent at is
somebody actually doesn't know how the lecture works.
No,
because it's not inorganic.
No,
it's
it's not.
neurological.
No, sure, but you get the point.
Yeah.
You're
I
equal
think
parts
we figured out
both.
why he's not a flow master.
You're equal parts both, though. You do it all well. And that's part of it, right? You have to have these intangible things, but you also have to do the thing well. Yeah. And it's like power and speed in the middle there.
Yeah. I think the soft skills for me in terms of leadership are probably the space where I'll give you your moment right there. There you go. The soft.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah,
That's
I think
the issue.
so. Yeah. But the soft skills, in terms of what happens leadership wise, I think is probably where I'm a little bit better, right? Like you get a schedule, the schedule's laid out, keep the schedule, all of that, but knowing when to flex the schedule because the moment demands it, or push a trainer to become better at whatever aspect it is that they're not really good at in that moment, particularly in lectures, right? We've got a lot of people that can nail the lecture on time, but miss that, take an extra 30 seconds to answer that question, frame that question in a way that when they walk out of here, they know exactly what to do when they go back to their gym.
Don't worry about the timeline.
Correct.
I think that is why people love working with you, for that reason, because you're given that grace. So, you can't take advantage of it.
Well, in defense of those people, he has to give him that grace on timeline at least.
No, but there's
because I blow timelines.
yeah, there is that too. Like we're with Chuck, we can do whatever we want.
You know who you're not going to get a lot of flack from on timeline? This guy right
I
here.
left a seminar, no joke, 8 p.m. That's
not true.
No, there was one time. Remember the test got messed up?
There
You
are
guys had to
times
catch
the test
flights.
got
I was like, I'll just stay in Miami. Anyway.
but it wasn't because of it wasn't because of my
No, it
lectures,
wasn't because of
though.
you. But there's a nice feeling about like if I'm doing this for the greater purpose of spreading this nugget or gospel or kernel, it's Chuck's not going to ever. Where there are flow masters like Jay. Why'd you take 32 minutes on the deads? It's a 30-minute lecture. It's like, yeah, but they asked me about the sumo, and they never experienced it this way. So it's nice to feel like I can do that.
But I would also say I come from my experience growing up in CrossFit was also, Greg popping in and giving an hour and 15-minute what is fitness.
Brooklyn, remember he came in, right? He showed up. We're at David Osorio's box. We went out to like a great dinner.
Right. Yeah.
And he just started talking.
Yep.
And then it was like, well, now what do we do? Like the timeline is just completely screwed.
And so the flow master in the back of the room is trying to figure out.
I think it was Sherwood or maybe Boz. Yeah.
It was. Adrian might have been there, but Pat might have been there too, because I did give my first presses. I remember that. That was. Yeah, you're 100% right. But the point is, I'm a blend of both of those, right? So
power and speed. Hear me out. Equal parts both.
Yeah, we can blow timelines, but we can also dial them in when needed. Here's the one thing that I don't typically do if I have blown a timeline is put it on the training staff to make up my errors. That's on me and another role and responsibility. I botched that. And as a leader, I should be able to be the one to massage.
What I like about you when you blow your timeline is you do it right at the beginning of the day. So that way we're just scrambling the rest of the day.
You already know what's going on.
It's like, all right, Chuck, there's been times where we're like, but it's Chuck Church. We know about Chuck Church. And in the manual, the participant experience trumps all, right? And
it says that. Yeah.
And Sunday mornings with Chuck is just something they can never get. Like, I can teach you how to deadlift, and we can go over the muscle up and snatch at the box, but this time to ask Chuck Carswell questions, and you always throw them to us, is I think that's so valuable for the participants.
I think it's incredibly valuable for the participants for two reasons. Number one, we usually start prior to the morning, so there's no obligation.
For sure. We're up there at 8:45, you know.
Yep. And number two, it's like if they haven't connected with you in the breaks in between or stayed for the social on day one, this is another opportunity for them to hear from some of the staff that's capable, generally more senior staff, to be able to express their experience on a question that the participants have asked particularly. And I just think that those 8, 10, sometimes 20 minutes are very valuable. Never been an hour. Are very valuable to their allegiance to the program and understanding what we are all about. That's a culture transfer piece for me.
Yes.
That is a massive.
I felt very fortunate because I was the recipient of a lot of your lessons and EC and Sarah Wilkinson and all these people, and having worked with a lot of you guys, got to see a lot of those. And I felt like when I took over that role, I fully felt like I understood the role and what my job actually was. And my job was not the timeline.
Correct.
My job was to make sure that these people get the experience that they came for. And that's the most important thing, which is and Jomo, years ago, is hey, your job is to become a master of time, compress it, expand it based on what's happening in front of you all the time, right? If you need to go an extra 5 minutes here, great. If you're hey, if you can shorten this 5 minutes here, go ahead and do that. But you have to be a technical expert and also somebody who has really plugged into the emotions of the group at the same time and really try to balance those two things together. And I felt really fortunate to have seen you do it many times and see many other of the flows do it that I really thought did it well. They were hey, hey, it's okay if we go 5 minutes over. That question, had you cut that question off, that would have negatively impacted their experience. Just take the 2 minutes to answer the question because they genuinely want to know the answer.
You and I have experienced it hundreds, thousands of times where we talk to affiliate owners like, you're never going to understand this one. It's like, we've dealt with this 12 times yesterday, right? And it's the same with participants. Like, this is their only time to talk about, like, hey, we got a person at the box that rep shaves, or we had this drama, or injuries. And it's like, it's become like we live in that bubble, but they don't.
Yeah.
So they don't, that is so important to them to feel heard, to validate whatever the topic is, but for them to just be like, oh, they answered and they understand it.
Yeah.
And like, I think when you made a point too, it's like when 50 participants and 3 breakout groups, you often didn't get an opportunity to connect with everybody.
Yep.
So it is your last opportunity there to connect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, to me, I just remember the experience I had at my first 3 level ones, right? Kept showing up, right? And all I remember, obviously I remember some points and pieces of it, but the feeling I got was like, these are some of the coolest people on the planet. I want to hang out with them. I want to hang out with them more. I hate that I have to go home now. I really want to hang with these people. And that doesn't happen because of your technical proficiency only in what you do in terms of lecture style and in terms of movement instruction. It is so much bigger than that.
Well,
and
that's analogous to the box too.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Like, that's like, you could be the most technical coach in the world and people don't want to hang out with you.
Yep.
But the most charismatic and caring coach.
Yep. There are boxes all around the world right now, and restaurants as well too, right? Where people have incredible presence and attitude. Others want to be around them, hang around them, and yet and still they don't know anything about movement or anything about the menu. But you got to get back there and you got to be with those people. Now, what's happening there is they're leveraging that presence and attitude to be able to have some time to learn and grow. And so, you look at the classes left and right. Who's got technical proficiency with no personality? Who's got all personality, no technical proficiency? And who can blend the two? And to me, that's a master coach, somebody that has the ability with technical, but also the relational skills.
Yeah, like watching somebody switch.
Man.
Like if they're having a good time and all of a sudden somebody throws a technical question, they're like, okay, well, let's dive into that. Let's talk about this. And the people are like, oh my God, I didn't think you were going to go 4 layers deep on that. I'm like, that's the job. Yeah. The job is not necessary to punch you with that, but like if you want to go there,
we can
go there. Yeah. We can do that. But I want to give you this, and I want to give it to you in a palatable manner so that you understand the concept. But yeah, it's just the seminar staff, and obviously we're biased, but that whole setting is so unique, dude. Like I still to this day, I don't think I've ever really been in teaching environments that are like that. Where it's just so captivating, so informative. It's a really unique thing, man.
All right, guys, if you like this content, please subscribe to the podcast. But understand, we work with affiliates. If you are interested in building your business, understanding strategy, building a better community, and building better coaches and careers for them, hit the link somewhere around this video, and we'd love to have a call with you.
It is a unique thing, and when done well, I mean, it's a master class on reading people, on delivery, on answering questions, handling objections. It's all of that. And to be able and I think that's part of the challenge that many may have in other spaces is that they just don't have that ability to be fluid across all of those different challenges that occur, so.
It's a unique environment to learn as a presenter there too, because I don't know, like I wasn't good at that. I think you get good at with reps, right? You give the lectures, you go through that phase of you're like, please don't ever ask me a question so I can just get the lecture on time. And then you move to the next phase, which is I'm not really listening to your question because I already think I know the answer. So I'm going to cut you off early and I'm going to give you an answer that wasn't really what you were asking. And then there's the final stage, which is like, what are you asking? Like, I'm not going to assume what you're asking, and then just let them talk. And that's like the hardest one to get to because they're going to tell you a 5-minute story.
And all you're doing is
just like, you're looking at the clock, just eat away. And I'm like, the flow's going to be pissed about this, but I'm going to let them talk. And then basically the answer was like, just put your heels down.
Sure. Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, that took a long time to get to, but like having that patience, because that's an experience thing, and you have to have the wherewithal to be like, I know what you're asking, but I'm going to shut my face and I'm going to let you tell the story, And then I'm going to give you a really quick answer.
Hey, don't forget where you came from, right? Like we all sat in that seat at some point in time. And if you can have the ability or the patience to be able to let them walk through that, if you're really as skilled as you think you are, you can let that happen, take that content or the question, wrap the content into your next point, and then circle back with, did that answer your question? And that's, to me, that's when it's like I stand in the back of the room and watch people do it and go, yeah, good on you.
Good job.
Because everybody feels it as it's happening.
Know it. So excellence is obvious.
Yeah, there you go. So you work. Are you at 500 seminars? Do you know?
Man, I'm at 580.
Yeah, he's almost pushing at 6.
Yeah, trying to get to 6.
So I remember the last time they kind of quantified it was the last trainer summit, and they gave out those patches. Yeah. What were you at then?
I was at that time. I was the only one over 500.
Oh, so you've not been going crazy these days then?
Nah, I sit at home a little bit more.
So you're still doing like every 1 to 2 a month?
No.
Probably not even that at this point.
Not even. It's So I did a level 2 this past weekend with Lindsay Andrew and Katie Hayes.
Oh yeah, I saw they had posted that.
And that was
in Atlanta.
Marietta actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because Lindsay saw our Katie.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
And so I think
I didn't put that together till just now.
And I think that was my second level 2 in the last 12, 14 months. So something like that.
Oh damn.
So, do you, if it were up to Chuck Carswell.
Say it again.
If it were up to you, how many seminars would you be working annually? Would it be every weekend still?
No, man. Mm-mm. Shirley stood by and watched all that go down. She's like,
I didn't say ask your wife. I said Chuck Carswell.
All right. If I had,
that's like, I feel like this is like when you're the most Chuck Carswell.
Yeah. When I'm at the seminars, no question.
Yeah.
So I would probably be, I'd say probably 20. Yeah.
20 a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Shirley's okay with that? You're still married?
Every other week.
I mean, she's out and about with her girls. That's probably what's happening, so she'd be okay with it.
But so it didn't seem to me like, I know for me, that 10-year stretch, like the travel got to me.
Yeah.
It never felt like you really got bothered by the travel.
No. My mom used to work for Eastern Airlines back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And so I was I was a little kid with a bow tie.
Eastern Airlines?
They don't even exist.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never heard of it.
Anymore. So I would show up at the airport and we'd wait 3, 4, 5 hours flying on a standby ticket.
Oh, standby,
because she got
Correct. And so now I show up and I've got a ticket and it's like it's stamped already. I got a seat assignment. I don't have to
club
wait.
to go to. Like,
I got a club to go to, and so it's like I got it down to a science almost now. So
you just never
rarely was
felt
the key.
bothered by it.
No, I am not bothered by it, and probably because I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy finding out about people. I enjoy expanding the CrossFit message and finding out what people are doing. I enjoy people, man. So
I'm gonna give you how Chuck ends every seminar. So we're gonna be at the airport. We got our red shirts on. People are gonna be like, "Oh, you do CrossFit? How's your friend time?" Right? Is that how you end it every time?
Yeah.
Right. But you always talk about that, when you're traveling, like passing it on.
Yep. If you see us, don't act like you don't know us.
Yeah. So it's nearly 600. You'll hit 600 maybe end of this year, next year.
Probably be next year. Yep.
Do you have 1 to 2 of the biggest lessons you've learned? You've coached. Let's do some math. If you coach 600 people, call it on average 30. That's a 4 million. I don't do my math.
I won't.
Somebody double check that.
You owe me that amount of money. Just multiply that by 30.
I'm saying it's a lot of
Jewish people were good at math.
It's a lot of people you've impacted at seminars. What are some of the biggest takeaways?
I think I hit you with the first one earlier, right? Like you're responsible for making the content come alive, for sure. Biggest, you got to be more specific, Jay. Like biggest in terms of.
Okay, I got to ask you this: what's been an impactful interaction you've had with a participant?
Impactful interaction. Oh man, there's dozens. Those things happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like a participant is sitting there. They come up. They finally get the courage to walk up and say hello. And CrossFit changed my life. And then they get a little teary-eyed. I've lost 75 pounds, 100 pounds. I'm here because this is probably one of the most impressive. I'm here because somebody from my gym went to a level 1 seminar and they said, you got to go. If that guy's leading your seminar, you got to be there. Like that kind of stuff.
I was the guy leading the seminar.
No, yeah, you were the guy. Yeah. No, I think the lessons that I've learned are, you take care of people and they'll take care of you. Sometimes you look at gyms that, and you guys probably can speak to this better than I can. You look at gyms that are looking for better Google reviews, that kind of thing, right? And obviously sometimes you got to point people in that direction. But for me at a seminar, all the good things that we want to hear about the seminar start from the moment we do registration. So if you want a 9, 10-star review out of this thing, you got to start that from the moment they get out of the car until the moment they get back in the car.
Yeah.
At the very end. So
that's a favorite pastime too, right? Whether it was searching.com Monday morning for the reviews,
comments.
Right? Or the reviews that they used to be like more I would say like auto-generated. Before it was just like an email that got passed on. They would actually get the surveys. Yeah. But as you're saying that, I'm like, oh man, that's a unique bunch in that it's uncommon to get a 5-star review for a seminar, right? Like we get them and we get some shout outs, but for 50 participants, you might get 1 or 2 people that are like, Fern did this, Chuck did that, Ackerman did this, right? But we still do it anyway. So it's interesting. It's like what you're saying is do the thing well, and the reviews will naturally just happen.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Yeah. That's definitely one, and probably the biggest one. It's like we try to take care of the participants and usher them through that entire experience so that when they walk away, it's unforgettable, remarkable, and probably a lot easier for them to make decisions as to whether or not they want to continue the journey in coaching, or more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but equally as important, possibly go open an affiliate. Like that experience could be a springboard for many people that go forward. Second thing I would tell you is, being a leader at the seminar is that obviously I'm only as strong as the team, right? Like one fails, we all fail, one succeed, we all succeed. Like, so if you have a botched lecture, then that's on all of us. It's not just you. You're not an island unto yourself, right? Like we carry the weight of that responsibility, and that feedback may result in that similar situation as well. So
you have a favorite memory working out?
Favorite
like
lunchtime workout.
Lunchtime workout.
Oh yeah, I do.
But a favorite?
I've got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Well, let's hear a couple good ones. So let me set the stage.
Okay. All right.
Saturday, around the globe at lunchtime, the participants often go out to lunch. Some bring their own lunch, and the trainers stick around. More so yesteryear, but it still happens, right? Where we all work out together. Same on Sunday, but probably a little less intense. You often would want to snatch.
Yes.
On a Sunday.
Sundays.
But the trainer workout is a thing.
Okay.
Okay, so you're telling me there's
several.
Okay.
And I like how you set that up, because basically what you're trying to get me to do is brag about all the stuff I've done.
I was going to talk about some horror stories.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be some bad ones.
Just some pure implosion. Yeah, most of which involve James Hobart.
Yeah, quite a few of them involve James Hobart. But obviously, he mentioned earlier the snatch 275 at lunch. That actually happened at a seminar.
I was there for that, I'm pretty sure.
King of Prussia. I was up at King of Prussia, Amy Lyons' gym, and, we're running out of time. It's like, GHD lectures coming up, and, snatch 275, first time ever at a seminar with participants having come back from lunch. So that was a pretty special one for sure. Yeah.
I want to hear your second one, but I don't think you know this. So it was my birthday. I was working a seminar with you.
Orlando?
It was, I want to say Jax.
Jax, okay.
Jenny was there. Todd was there. They had done the 10-8-6-4-2 regional snatch workout or something. It was something like that, right? And we just essentially started it, and then we all just kind of went up to our 1 rep max. Mm-hmm. It was my birthday. You remember in Jack's, because they had like that little weight room, the weightlifting room?
Yeah, wooden platforms.
So people are coming back in and seeing us and like stopping. And I'm failing at 185 over and over. And Chuck goes, you said something to the extent of like, you're going to ruin the weekend. I swear. Like, you said that.
Okay.
And Todd's there, like, coaching me. And then I have it on video somewhere. I hit it. I'll get it to you, Nate.
Okay.
The crowd starts singing "Happy Birthday."
Oh, wow.
It's the only time I've ever hit 185 in my entire life. I have it on video. I'll find it for you.
With Happy Birthday behind
yeah.
it.
Nobody cares.
Jenny had run out during lunch and bought like cupcakes.
Okay.
So it was really cool. That's probably one of my favorites.
That was the South Side.
South Side. Yeah.
I remember. Good. Okay.
So what you were going to say, another story though?
Yeah, another one would probably be the first time I did Isabel, right? 30 snatches, 135. John Gilson, I think, was at the time, he was also one of our media guys that would video. And so it was Pat Sherwood, Johnny McLaughlin, Mike G, Jenny Orr, Bobby Millsaps was there. I can't remember if anybody else was there. John was there. It would be 6.
That's a big crew.
Yeah, it was big. It was at a fire department facility or something. So one of their spots. And so we did Isabel. And the first time I had snatched 135 pounds for reps and did really, really well. Not squat snatch. Oh yeah, squat snatch.
No,
yeah.
We don't have to. You might have.
Andrew Thompson was there, but he couldn't squat snatch. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fern, what's your favorite?
My favorite? Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I tell you what, we did a workout at the old Mayhem location one time that
Which brings up another one.
I didn't win, just so they were all clear.
Rich was there.
He came in and worked out, but it was something egregious. And I was just so pumped that I did the work. Because it had like a 405 deadlift in it, something else. And I was like, all right. I mean, I was still last place.
Rich used to roll into seminars there, work out with us. Like usually, he was always cool because he would do team workouts because it's otherwise it's like showing up I'm gonna smash all of you, right?
I'm gonna make
He'd be
you guys all
team
look
up, but it was the way he used to just do it. He'd write some stuff on the board and be like, "Here's the workout."
That was a cool space because
Yeah,
it
they
was
had that
it was
little
dark
annex
in there.
Yeah. At the donut place.
But I just Ralph's. Yeah. But I always enjoyed working out there because there's just and even when you go there now, there's just there's an extra
it's a vibe.
level. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's a whole vibe over there. We're just I guess I'm just gonna light myself on fire today because that's what you do here.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chuck, about Mayhem?
Man,
No, that experience is exactly similar to me. We had so Rich, as you said, would come in periodically and work out with the team during lunch. And so this day, it's hey, Rich, what are you doing? He's like, all right. I think James Hobart might have been there too. He's
might have been living there at that time.
Yeah, it was 30. I think it was 30 bar muscle ups, 30, 20, 10 bar muscle ups, and double the amount with GHD sit ups in between. So 30, 60, 20, 40.
It's like when bar
10,
muscle ups
20.
weren't a thing.
Yeah, and so
They were created right there.
Yeah.
What if we just go right to the top? Yeah.
And so I had a partner. Guy that used to be on staff named Donnie used to be on staff.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he and I partnered, and we thought we were going to take Rich Froning down at partners. He went unbroken on the bar.
Wait, you two against him?
Well, I mean, he didn't know we were competing against him.
But it was you were splitting the work with Donnie and Rich was doing all of it.
Correct. The two of us are going to split the work and he's going to do it all. And we're surely he's going to break a couple times and we're just going to, that'll be our rest period. By the time we get to the 20s, we'll be able to come cruising through. He went unbroken on the 30 bar muscle ups.
No,
unbroken,
back then?
Unbroken on the 30, unbroken on the 20, and of course unbroken on the
And then
on the
GHD is nothing
He
for him,
lived
yeah.
on the GHD sit up. I got home Monday morning and my back locked
That was
up.
your balls that were swollen.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's absurd.
I'm not going to confirm nor deny that, but we did not win this workout to say the
Oh,
least.
dude.
Yeah, that's always that sense of delusion.
So another thing I've learned at seminars: don't work out with Rich Froning at lunchtime.
Did you ever work with him while he was on? He was on staff for a year or two.
Yeah,
Maybe?
if I did, it was only one seminar. I remember several times interactions with him, obviously at his gym, because we used to host up there quite regularly and still do to this day. But if it was only once or twice. So yeah, very, very infrequently.
How about this? One or two last questions. So
Okay.
we're talking from the participant. What about from a trainer perspective? Any interactions with trainers that you can think of that resonate? Or
Yeah. Katie Hayes, man, she has an incredible story and level 4 trainer and worked her way on the seminar staff. she gave her first nutrition lecture, and I was there for that. And, you know, just got a chance to talk with her and settle her that, you know, you've lived this thing basically. And won't go into too many details because, I mean, I'd leave that for her to share or whatever. But yeah, we set a nice stage for her to be able to do what she did, which was, you know, just tell the story of her journey.
That's
and,
rad.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of helping people get to the next level and get to the next opportunity. And that was her very first nutrition lecture. And, you know, it's one of the largest lectures at the seminar. And so I had played a little part in helping her
that's
do
cool.
that.
Largest as it's an hour, but also impactful.
It's very impactful. And not only that, it's one of the places where you probably find the most contention.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It has the most room for, you know, discussions.
Yeah. But she had obviously, you know, I'm not taking credit for any of that, but she paid the price to do the study, to live the life, and to know the content inside and out, because it was you know, part of her journey, and you know, just trying to settle her to do her thing. That was it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Her and Graham took over a box recently. I was actually just texting with her this morning.
Yeah.
I'm working with her very soon, coming up.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
We had Megan on when we were in Orlando.
Yep.
Who's, who's also on staff now. Her sister. That was a great episode.
She's doing some great stuff, man, and I haven't finished that episode yet. But she's
You
doing.
don't act like you listen to us. Chuck, that's a total Chuck
Pause
move
for a
right there.
second. Pause for a
smooth.
second. Pause for a
So
second.
smooth.
I have not started, so I haven't finished it. There you go. So
That's fair.
That's more.
That's fair.
That's accurate.
But having said that, I do believe I am aware of that. So I've got quite a bit.
I'm aware of your podcast. Are we doing one right now?
Is that what this is? We're just not just
That's
hanging
good,
out.
though.
in
I'm
the
going to say
hotel?
I haven't finished that one yet.
Next time someone asks me, have you read this book? I haven't finished it. That is so good.
No.
That is. I mean, we can end there because that is what makes Chuck Chuck. No, but
don't say that. You gotta end on something better than that,
I'm
brother.
going to say because you make everyone feel like you know them because you're smooth. Let's be honest. How'd you get Shirley back in the day? You're smooth. You're a smooth guy, but that's smooth. Like you do have this uncanny ability to make everyone feel like he knows me. He knows everything. He knows me inside and out.
But that comes from questions and investment.
That's
right?
okay. So let me give you the lesson I learned from Chuck.
Correct.
I've told people that numerous times. We talk about it. The team talks about it. Ask one more question.
Yeah.
And people, I pass that on. Sometimes I give you credit. Often I don't. But they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, just ask another question.
Yeah.
And I practice that with Roz, my wife, like at times with the kids, with you know, your clients. It's important because one of our mutual friends, Mark England, will say, what's everyone's favorite word? Their name.
Okay.
Right? And you just they want to talk, like you said, about like, oh, it's get your heels down. But it's the story behind it that I want you to hear it and I want to feel heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Jay. I appreciate you. Give credit
haven't
for it.
finished it yet. I like that.
I might have one more, right? So,
All right, let's hear it.
I don't work quite as much as I used to. So a lot of the things that I've learned and remembered all over the years, I've probably forgotten more of them, than I care to remember. But one for instructing that's come up quite regularly over the last couple of months. It's actually for instructing, and I've morphed it into even cueing, right? Correcting folks.
Yep.
It's like, don't fall in love so deeply with your teaching or your correcting that you fail to evaluate what's happening right in front of you.
Dig deeper for us.
So I can have my favorite cue or correction, the one that I know is going to work, and I launch it. And because I've launched it, I feel like I've done my job instead of looking to find out, did that thing actually work or did it happen?
Right. And it's like that's a relationship, right? But I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to.
Yep.
But he's not hearing it, right? Like it's not working.
Yep. And more importantly, I'm not evaluating that I need to do something else to help fix it. That's the problem, right? So
I think that happens. I can think as you're saying that, I'm thinking of times when I've been like that, and it's like when you've gotten pretty good at something, but you're not quite like you've not mastered it. You're like, I'm good. Look, there you go. And you're like, oh shit, it didn't work. Or somebody's just like, did you even watch that? And you're like, but I said it,
Yeah.
which is not the answer.
Yeah.
But then having, I think about this now when I teach level 2s. I just taught a level 2 recently, and one of the participants, man, she was as nervous as you could get, dude. I mean, she was like high anxiety. Mm-hmm. She's like, she's not coaching or anything like that. She's like, how do you want me to teach this? I'm like, I don't care. Teach whatever you want. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't care how you teach it. I'm like, you cannot get this drill wrong. I was like, the only way you get this wrong is if you literally walk out the door.
Don't do it.
You don't do the drill. And I'm like, I'm not here to tell you how you do this. I'm here to figure out what you're doing and then figure out how to make it slightly better than you're currently doing it. Yep. And I think I think when I figured out, like, it's not about like, I do it this way and you do it this way. It's just like, just watch them and try to extract the one thing that will make them a little bit better. Yep. And then once you get past all your own bullshit, you just focused on them. You're like, I'm going to be able to sort out whatever you got going on, as long as I pay attention to what you got going on, and I'm not worried about what I am going to say to you. Yeah. And I think that makes level 2s so much better, man. Like, it just gives you so much room for movement there. But I think you have to get past your ego.
Definitely.
I think you have to, really be more invested in the participants than you are about like looking cool and all that kind of stuff. And it goes a long way, dude. Yeah. It goes a real long way.
100%. Yeah, for sure. The other one, you got me on a roll now that I've had some time to meditate on it.
Well, and you were drinking earlier, so.
I was what? I was not drinking. I've had coffee today, dude. I've been on a fast all day.
You fasting?
Yeah.
I like it. There's clarity.
It had to be, because the last time we were together, we had driven up here. And
that was a year ago.
We were both hurting.
You guys came right from a seminar or something. Yeah. So, we're
we came from the trainer summit.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
The Southeast Trainer.
Here. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
So one more.
So in your development, not only as a seminar staff member, but also as a gym owner and trainer, work to make a new mistake.
That's like the newest thing from Chuck right there. That's like, we've been doing the ask one more question. Like, work to make a new mistake. Yep. I like that. I just listened to David Blaine, must be on like a podcast kick because he's got a new, The Magician.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But he was talking like, he's like, when you realize like there's always more questions, you realize you can never master, then you realize you're always a beginner.
Yep.
Right? It's kind of like something paraphrasing, but kind of like that. Like what both of you are saying, where it's like this never-ending search to improve starts with like figuring out where you can improve and how you can improve and getting to the limits of your expertise and
not getting paralyzed by the mistakes that come up. That's the real challenge, right? Like that, I've been very fortunate. I've said this before with you guys. I think that I've had some incredible leaders be a part of my life and influence and grow. And one of the things that I have kind of grabbed onto is the ones that have been most impactful are the ones that will deal with me when I make the mistake.
Yeah.
That's
and I would add one thing that is like, who give you the freedom
and room
to make that mistake, and not just like, I have some people that are like, God, you are a knucklehead. I'm going to give you another shot. And then there's other ones who give you that freedom to roam and then rein you in when you need to, versus other coaches who are like, mistakes are not allowed, and then you just tighten up and then everything gets worse. So
if I had to attribute one thing to my seminar experience, at least what it from my perspective giving forward, is I try to give that. I try to let that freedom
I think you do it.
Mistake.
I think you do that.
Yeah.
Very well.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So 585 seminars in.
Yep.
If someone's watching out there, why should they take their level 1 or level 2?
You should take the level 1 because obviously it is the foundational components to overall health and fitness, right? You get a behind-the-scenes approach to not only the movement, but the methodology, the kernel, the technology that is, helping you increase your ability to do work wherever you are in life.
Fitness.
You got to do that. Fitness, for sure. I think you got to do that, even if you don't plan on coaching. It's one of those things that can be a landmark moment in you, your family, your friends, your coworkers' life, if you have that credential and are a part of it. The level 2, you need to be there because obviously if you are going to be a coach, one of the only ways to improve your skill is to evaluate and assess what you're doing and get tools to be able to move forward. And that's what the level 2 is about. There are no clients there, so you're not going to lose any current clients. Your gym's not going to close because you're there. And if you blow it out of the water and are successful, they won't know that. And if you punt it deep into the stands, they won't know that either. Yeah. But on Monday morning, they will recognize that there has been an impactful moment in your life, which thus impacts everything that they do.
And if you show up and he's there, Chuck Church, Sunday morning, 8:45 a.m.
Till about 10.
Till time TBD.
TBD.
I'd say I speak.
Hey, it's going to be hard to blow a timeline now. Took the test out on day 2.
Yeah.
I'll find a way.
The day 2 wraps up by like 4:30 now, I think. I
have to go back and I need to.
About that. It's about
It was
that.
earlier.
I have to go back and
They extended the deadlift, the GHD, and I'd say
they took that to make the deadlift lecture 35
There
minutes.
you go.
Yeah,
That's all we had to do is get rid of the test, and now we can give a deadlift lecture in 35 minutes. All right. But now everybody giving 40, so we're still screwed either way.
But
we'll have to figure it out.
I speak for myself, for him, for hundreds of seminar staff that we appreciate you. We've learned so much from you. I think on seminar staff, you are to many people in a very unique way, the one they feel like they can reach out to.
Good.
I think that's unique to be like that person for so many people. It's one thing like for your kids or for a best friend, but like I know to this day, if I'm like, hey man, I really need to talk through something, whether we've spoken yesterday or a month ago, you'll be there.
Well,
And I know I've known many people that feel that way.
well, thank you for that. And we just hope that whatever I'm saying is useful.
It's often,
usually pretty
it's
good.
often
It's usually
incoherent.
pretty
Yeah, no. It just makes us feel better about
Good.
ourselves.
That's
Like,
what matters.
Chuck's a little crazy. The crazy vibes going.
It takes all kinds, and I'm just glad to be another spoken at will. So it's good.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys too.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Hit your level 1, hit your level 2. If you've done those, take your level 3, and when it's back, take that level 4. Keep pursuing the next credential.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.